Hatamari, everybody. Welcome to the first Community Connections Committee meeting for 2026 and for the triennium. So we're just going to start with a karakia. Nā mai e runga pau ko te pai, nā mai e tānei, nā hau, nā ki te pota o te ao. Ko ranganui ki runga, ko papatonu ku ki raro. Ka puta, ko te whao, ko te ao marama. Tuturu whakamaua kia tina, haumie huie tai kie. So we're just going to start with apologies. Do we have any apologies from the floor? No. No one's here for public forum. Are there any notifications not on the agenda? Does anyone have any conflicts of interest to declare in relation to today's meeting? Okay, we'll get straight into it. We're going to start with the first report, 6.1, from Sport Tararoa. Welcome. If you'd like to start with introducing everyone to the new councillors, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
Morena tātou everyone, my name is Carl Johnston. I'm the General Manager here at Sport Tararoa, and I've brought a range of our team across to introduce you to the new councillors that we have. So if you guys like to introduce yourself.
Kia ora, I'm Bex Brown. I'm the Facility Manager for Bush Multisport and also part of Sport Tararoa, Sport Manawatu.
Kia ora, I'm Raylene Treader. I'm the Community Connector for Sport Tararoa.
Kia ora, I'm Sam Jones. I'm in the Healthy Active Learning Team for Sport Tararoa.
Thank you very much. So I appreciate your time today and our opportunity to present to you. A few new faces here, so congratulations on the new elections, and a couple of older faces that are recognised from the previous. Apologies. I'm talking about Scott. Apologies. Good as gold. Yeah, so just for some of the newer councillors, just to give you a bit of an update on what Sport Tararoa does. So we've got a range of contracts across the Manawatu region with Sport New Zealand and Sport with Tararoa, Horowhenua, Manawatu and Palmerston North City Council. So those are to a range of different outcomes that come through to activate the communities and engage across the sports sector. We don't run sport directly, we enable it and we support it, and we fund portions of it, and we try and connect groups across the community there. So our priorities are to get people more active, and that's particularly focusing on the tamariki and rangatahi space. Surveys show that if kids are involved in sport early, they're more likely to continue on through into their adult life or later on in life. We work across a range of areas, so we work with schools, local sports clubs, volunteers, we deliver workshops and some training opportunities depending on what's needed through the sector, and do a lot of work with the RSOs as well, regional sports organisations, like Manawatu rugby or squash or hockey, netball, just to increase the activation space. So that's a high-level overview. We've been around since 1987, so been around for a couple of haircuts, but just covering all avenues there. Is this going to work? Why is it not going on? So late last year, Sport New Zealand undertook a stakeholder engagement survey, and appreciate all of your feedback and stuff. So that went through a range of elected members and council officers across our entire region. Fontaine from Tararua, Scott provides feedback, and a number of other elected members. We were the highest engagement across all the RSTs, so I appreciate your feedback in that space. And it was really good to get the good, the bad, and the ugly in there as well. So it gives us areas to focus on, but also highlights some of the areas that we're doing well in. So from some of the key, we'll do more of a deep dive into that once we've received a more significant amount of or breakdown from the engagement results. But it's good to see we're doing well. We've had a fairly positive, I think we're sitting at 80% positivity from our stakeholders or the people that we've surveyed, which is significantly higher than the national average of 70. So that's really good to see. And solid leadership across the sports sector. So. Can I talk about some highlights? Right?
Yeah. So some of the key highlights that we've completed in the community, the district over the last 6 months, we've had a glow-in-the-dark basketball event that was run in Paetura and Dannevirke, and we had 62 participants participate in that. That was a collaboration with Manawatu Basketball. We've started a neurodiverse playgroup for the Tararua. So we're getting 12 average turning up each month, and it's for primary based children to give them the opportunity to do activities that sometimes they don't get the opportunity in schools to do. And we're getting good numbers there. We held that in partnership with Te Kiti o Rangatane, a community colour run, which was led by 2 local youths from Dannevirke, Sally and Mania, with Naoma Chase helping them to do that. There was about 100 participants at that. It was a great way for them to get leadership skills, and they ran an amazing event. Social media, we've got a new Instagram page, which came out about 2 weeks ago, to try and connect with the rangatahi. We're finding that we aren't getting the engagement from them, and we need to look at different ways to engage them with with Instagram, sorry. I've done promoting Tara's hidden gems from November to January. The post on the right there was at the Marima Domain. That one alone had 26,000 views and lots of comments. And I've had people from the Manawatu region that have actually come over and visited Waihi Falls, because that was another one I've done. So I've tried to cover every reservoir that in the Tararua, and our next one we're doing is focusing on parks as well in the Tararua. Have a monthly calendar on the Facebook page with upcoming events, what's on for the month coming up, and then probably the biggest win this 6 months was getting the Active Recreation Sports database live on the Tararua District website. So it's a list of all the sports, the contacts, and if you know any that I'm missing, please let me know so they can be added. Thank you. Coming up with funding, we've got the Rural Travel Fund, which opens in March and closes in April. This fund is heavily subscribed, but I'll pass you over to Carl to talk about what he's working on in this space at the moment to try and help our rangatahi get to events, travel to Palmerston North, because predominantly all the competitions are over there.
Yeah. So we at Sport Tarawa understand the difficulty within the barrier of that hill in between us and Palmerston North currently. For us at Sport 102, we're working with some funding partners, so Eastern Central Community Trust and DIA. So I'm currently in meetings with them to see how we can support the secondary school space, particularly the Dannyburg High or TC, Tarawa College, to provide an additional funding support for this rural travel fund. And also with some of the other larger clubs, the Dannyburg Sports Trust, Sports Club, to support them heading away over the hill as well. So it's understood from Sport Tarawa that that's a particular barrier. So we're working in particularly closely with, I've got to literally straight after this meeting, I'm heading over to meet with Neil from ECCT to see how we can support that and what opportunities there are to collaborate in that space. So from a Te Manawa point of view, Te Manawa Fund is a fund that we have from Sport New Zealand. That's about engaging with tamariki and rangatahi to reduce barriers and provide opportunities for them to be active in active recreation, not necessarily sport. It could be hunting, could be fishing, could be all sorts of opportunities in that. So Rayling's working alongside a number of the groups across the district to see what opportunities we can do to support any clubs or anything. So if you do have any opportunities, by all means reach out to us. A particular area that I'm working on is with the Dannyburg High School and a bit of a hunting or kai program all the way through from processing or collecting, processing, and then cooking at the end of it. So there's a couple of good initiatives we've got in the pipeline, but it's just a matter of getting some traction in that space. So you have received a few funding through there, but we just opened up on the 2nd of March, there'll be the second Te Manawa opportunity. So if you do have any opportunities, by all means, either reach out to Bex, Raylan, myself, or Sam to progress that or support that opportunity. Did we talk about any of those? Te Tangata?
Te Tangata program has been going for about 6 months, and we still have funding. This is at Tarawa College. We still have funding available to carry it on for term 1 and hopefully term 2. So I've got 18 students that will be involved in that program coming up. And the play trailer received $960 for some new equipment. And then the Marae Base program in Paetua, they received $10,000 to support their kaupapa in preparation to go to Waitangi. So they had an amazing time. Yeah. Oh, this slide's just in relation to the relationships that we have. We work closely with Bush Multisport, Woodville Skate Park, helping them currently do funding applications at the moment and getting their resource consent over the line. Paetua Pool, meeting monthly with them and council over with that development. DMCI, Half Court and Skate Park, helping Sam, who's on the committee there, do funding applications, and Irina. Ikere Youth Survey was done in December at the Christmas parade. I have got the insights yesterday, so I will forward them all out to councillors today. And it was interesting. There's 80% of youth in Ikere that are active, so it's a high percentage. Yeah. So you'll see the results from that. And then the Tarawa Youth Network Hui, which is a new Tarawa Community Services, have organised this for all service providers in the Tarawa to meet monthly to discuss youth. And at the moment, Sport Manawatu have developed a survey to go out, and we'll do focus groups in the next couple of weeks in the Tarawa. And thanks to Council for your input, Alison and Kishan, for providing us some questions to put into that survey. So we might get you to help us with some of the focus groups. So yeah, thank you.
Kia ora. Just a little bit about me and what I get up to in the community. So Healthy Active Learning, I'm based in primary schools, working alongside tamariki and working alongside teachers, so helping support them with their health and PE curriculum, whatever that may look like for their school, and supporting them with events. We run workshops, PLD for teachers, anything that they feel like they need support with, then that's where I jump in and either make the connection or help them out myself. So a couple of things that we have done over the last 6 months is we were supporting the Kiorahi tournament, PALS program, so that's physical activity leaders in school. So that's working with the senior leaders to encourage physical activity during break times. So working with them to upskill them to be leaders and to run games during break times to promote activity for kids in school. Tabloids, so that linked into our PALS where they led a tabloids day, which was really awesome. They picked the games, they ran the games, and they worked with the junior students. We did a lot of work around athletics, so we had Athletics New Zealand come over. We worked with Kelly from the Athletics Club and just did a little bit of PLD around that and what that might look like in schools. At the moment, we've been working on a swimming one. So we linked up with Y-Splash and the instructors there, and they're running a PLD for our teachers just to help support them with the swimming. Minor sports, so Pahetoa's Bush Cluster is running a tabloids day as well, and I'll be working with the PALS students, and they'll be running a tabloid day similar to what we did in Dannevirke as well in the next month or so. We're also linking them into Te Manawa. How do we get rid of those barriers? What do they need? How can we support them in that space as well? And if there's anything that they need in the Kai and Y space, so linking them into nutrition, healthy eating, what that might look like for their school might be sustainable living with planting and all of that kind of stuff. So anything related to the health and PE curriculum that we can help and support, that's what I do. So I cover the whole of Tararua, all the primary school spaces. Cool.
So Active NZ survey is a survey that's carried out by Sport New Zealand. Was refreshed through the 24-25 year, and it's done on a more of a regional space. One of the key outcomes was that the walking is the most popular, one of the most popular sport or recreation spaces around. So it's great what you guys have done as far as the promotion around the hill, heading over the hill there, so that's brilliant. And that activation that Woodville Lions have got going on for that event is awesome as well, to see that sort of coming to fruition and using the infrastructure that's within the Rohi. So yeah, well done to all involved in that space. I'll be able to provide some more data once we've had a clearer breakdown from Sport NZ around that Active NZ survey results as well. So that was just a high level. Next 6 months, do you want to talk about that one?
Sorry. The next 6 months, we've got Bush Children's Day in Pahiatua. It's going to be bigger and better than last year. They've got more funding and they have a whole lot more activities included in this year. So last year alone, they gave away 2,000 ice creams. So yeah. Yeah, exactly. Whānau Ora Day in Dannevirke, I've jumped onto that committee to help along the way there, and we have a few, we're trying to grow it bigger, and we'll probably look at doing an incorporated society for that too, so they can get funding as well. But they've managed to get an ice cream truck for free, and bouncy castles and milks and stuff like that, so that's really cool that they've got some stuff there for that. Sam's talked about minor sports, Parks Weeks, the promotion, we've talked about that, Rural Travel Fund, Taura Sports Awards, so nominations closed on Sunday. We had more nominees than last year, so that's great. It's been held at the Turi Brewery and judging is tonight, so we'll get the finalist names out tomorrow or the next day, yeah. Coming up is Workplace Challenge and Walk and Wheels Week as well. Yeah.
So Is that going to work? The extra. Give me a bit of an update. Push.
I guess, well, I do my recap in October, but yeah, we've had a busy 6 months or 5 months since then. We are working hard with a lot of the schools and clubs at the moment. We've seen a huge increase in our utilisation as well, so looking forward to presenting that report later in the year. But yeah, just looking at funding opportunities for our next steps and some big fundraisers as well in the pipelines. So, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, just in closing, just want to say thank you very much and enjoy the relationship that we have with the Tararua District Council and officers and elected members. So, yeah, if you have any questions, more than happy to answer anything that we can.
I just have a question, and I just wanted to applaud you guys for thinking ahead and giving feedback to the Online Gambling Act. Yeah, because that's especially for Tararua, that it will affect us, and the figures are crazy. How many people actually gamble online, and if people don't realise that that money doesn't actually come back into our community,
No.
like if they gamble within our community. On pokie machines and stuff, that we get a percentage going back to sport and other activities. So I just wanted to point that out, that that's a huge, can be a huge problem for our community. And yeah, good on you guys for giving feedback to that. So hopefully
appreciate
we'll have something. Do you know when that's meant to come out?
I haven't heard the latest update, but there is significant changes from the initial proposal that came out. So they're looking between 15 and 17% coming back into local community, but that's across the whole community. That's not targeted into sport specifically, so that'll be across a range of areas, but it's better than what it was. So yeah, it's interesting over in England, UK, that they've lifted their tariff to 42% of it staying locally. So there's a bit more, there'll be more pressure coming on in that space. It's yeah, so many clubs and community groups are reliant on that funding. So it's, yeah, lesser of two evils, but no, I appreciate it. Thank you, Ray.
15 to 17% isn't a lot, so yeah,
No.
we could bump that up quite a bit more. Yeah, and I know for sports groups in the north, we have less opportunities for funding. So you know, like that's a big chunk that we could miss out on.
Yeah. So Kelly went down and presented to the panel, select committee, about that. So yeah, it was good to have that involvement and that representation. But yeah, we'll sort of see where it comes out or where that lands. We haven't had any confirmation yet from central government.
Do we have any other questions from the floor? We're all Councillor Amboy.
Thank you, Chair. Kia ora, guys. Thank you so much for this report, and I'm really looking forward to working with you. I'm just curious about the surveys and how you actually connect with the rangatahi. Are the focus groups made up of different year groups, or just a mix of kids from different schools? I just think I'm asking this of myself with the youth portfolio, but I'm really interested to hear how you guys find these people. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Ellison, for your question. So what will happen is, within the next 2 weeks, 2 staff will come over from Sport Manawatu and go into the schools, go into service providers like Tara Youth, Community Youth Services, Tara Community Services, any sports clubs or any events or anything like that. So like Children's Day could be a perfect one as well in the north and the south. Yeah, so they're going to have focus groups, and we've also got Leah and Jana. Leah from Tara Community Youth, Community Services helping, the social worker, and Jana as well. So they will do some groups as well. Yeah. So we will get a broad range. Yeah.
Thank you, Raylene. Your Worship.
Thanks very much, Chair Erin. Thanks very much, guys. It's always a great report that comes through. Really encouraging to see, the activity that's coming through Sport Tararua appears to be even higher. And so we're really, really grateful for the work that's going on in that space. I was pleased to see that travel that is a huge barrier for some of our people. So thank you for looking outside the box and seeing even outside of that funding envelope that we have, how we might be able to expand that for people. So super, super grateful. I've had some incredible feedback about the work with at-risk rangatahi in Pahiatua. So thank you, Raylene. I know that you've been really heavily involved in that. But to Sport Manawatu and Sport Tararua for coming up with good creative ways to keep a really important group engaged in recreation and the other flow-on impacts that has. So thank you very much. Great to see all the work happening in the background. Just one small question. I really liked seeing the neurodiverse play that's happening. I am aware in Dannevirke there is quite a strong neurodiverse group that runs through Tararua Reap. Are you looking at connecting with those as well to give some of the Dannevirke children the same opportunity?
Yeah, we have some, thanks, Miss Scott. We have some travelling from Dannevirke currently. So the communication does go out to all the schools and, but we can link in with them. We've had Autism New Zealand come and we've had speakers come to this group. So, that's fine. We can link in with them and potentially try and see whether they can organise one, because I think this is more based around the parents. Yeah, not a playgroup as such. Is that correct?
Thanks, Chair Erin. Yes and no. They do some play as well as part of that group, and it is quite an active group. Absolutely parent focused, but the tamariki are attending and are a part of that. So I'm more than happy to help link you up to the organisers. I popped along to one of their sessions and they're doing some really good work.
Yep, no, that's fine. We'll connect with them. Thanks, Miss Scott.
Thank you, Worship. Councillor Colette.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you to Sport Manawatu and Sport Tararua to coming up with this report and everything you have been doing. There's a large amount of really sporty people, kids and stuff in this district, and youth is very big to have like something for them to do. And with what you've done in Raylene with Inikahuna and just asking the kids what they want to do, I know they've appreciated that too. There is a part around our rural communities. We've got 11 schools out there that are not really focused on this outside of Pongaroa, mostly just urban. It would just be a comment just to see if we can touch base with them more and do some more activities out in their district. I know it costs a bit to get it to them and to start to do these things, but I think our rural district is something that really, is a big part of who we are in this, in our district. So.
Thank you. I see a lot of the rural schools in my work, and we had a rural cluster that we're working on building up so that when we have outside providers, they will go to one of the rural schools and the rural schools will join together and work in those activities, because I know it is hard for them to get into town. One thing that we did have in the pipeline was flag football, and that's going to be held at Pongaroa School, and that will include Kumaroa, Pongaroa, Mākuri, Weber. Is that all of them?
Norsewood, is it?
Not Norsewood for that one.
Yeah.
But that is something that we are working on. So, but thank you.
And just to add to that, we have had a pop-up play at Pongaroa and at Norsewood, in the school holidays. So,
Thank you. Do we have any more questions? Thank you to Sport Manawatu and Tararoa for coming in today. It was great to hear your reports, and it's always exciting to see what's going on in our community. Thank you. And we just have a couple of recommendations that the report from the Democracy Support Officer dated the 28th of January 26 concerning the Sport Tararoa quarterly reports to December 25 be received, and that the quarterly reports from Sport Tararoa for the period 1st of July 25 to the 30th of September 25 and the period 1st of October to the 31st of December 25 be received. Do we have a mover? Councillor Corlett, and seconded by Councillor Amboy. All those in favour, please say aye. Thank you. She missed a apology for Kashan Te Waka. She's currently away today. Can I have some? Yeah, I can move that, and Councillor Worship will second that. Thank you. All right, we're going in to our complaints policy review. We've got Dana Burnett from Customer Engagement Manager, who's coming forward with Sandy. Thank you, ladies.
Tēnā koutou. First off, I just wanted to introduce Dana to those of you who haven't met her. So Dana Burnett is our Customer Engagement Manager. So this role was created as part of the integration of services last year. We were very lucky to find Dana, who came on board in July. So she has started doing some great work, including our complaints policy. So I'll hand over to Dana.
Kia ora. Firstly, I don't normally sound like this, so apologies if I start coughing. I will run out of the room and hand over to Sandy, so I've already prepped her for that. I'm pleased to present this policy for you to review, and through the chair, happy to take the report as read and answer any questions that you might have or feedback.
Thank you, Dana. We have questions from the floor, Your Worship.
Thanks very much, Chair Irina, and Dana. Thanks for producing this. These policies are always really important to make sure that we've got right. I like the policy. I just have one question though. This is the 3.3.2, which is a requirement for complaints to be made in writing. So adding that as a stipulation. Just wondering if I could get a little bit more information on the thought process for that, and just making sure that we're not shutting off channels for people to express dissatisfaction formally.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Obviously, the customer service team and other council officers deal with some frustrated customers out in the field, as well as through the customer service sites. In terms of following up on official complaints, the normal policy across councils is that they have to be in writing, which gives us the ability to investigate and follow up and provide a formal response through that way as well. That's not to say that we wouldn't take it from a verbal point of view, and we might document it on behalf of the customer. Does that?
Yeah, I think we can probably take that feedback on board just to make that a bit clearer. So it's not that people can't use other channels to communicate complaints. It's that if they wanted to provide those verbally, we would then document them, have them review that and sign off that that was accurate.
No, thank you, and it would be good to give some consideration to that. I think of a situation perhaps where we have someone that travels into our service centres and says, I would like to make a formal complaint about X. I think personally we should welcome that and feedback, and if we need to make that work within our procedures, then we come up with our own process, but it still makes it easy for the ratepayer or the resident to raise those concerns. So thanks for that consideration.
Cool. Good feedback. Thank you.
I just had, I read the out of scope part of the paper. I was thinking, because the social media ones, I know that's people just can be keyboard warriors, but I was wondering, do you get messages like through Messenger? Like, would you take a complaints, or would you direct them in to take the right channels for a complaint? I was just wondering about that one.
We're both looking at Karsten.
Yes, we do receive messages which do sometimes have information that could relate to complaints. So the general process for Karsten or the communications team is that they respond with the information and the processes to direct them into the right place. Is that? Do you want to add anything to that, Karsten?
That's exactly the procedure that we have. So if we do get complaints coming in sometimes on social media, and then we direct them to the process that we have in place, which often is we direct them to the website, to the complaints form, and they take it from there.
Thank you. Great, thank you, Karsten. Councillor Amboy.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, ladies, for this report. I'm just wondering if the complaints or the complaint outcomes, are they available to the public to access at request, or is this all confidential? Thanks.
The outcomes of the complaints, is that what you're asking, if they are confidential?
Just both, so like the actual complaint and the complaint outcome, if there is an outcome?
It really does depend what is included in the complaint, because we have obligations to privacy, and we also have some of these complaints could be related to employee conduct, and so those kinds of complaints would not be able to be accessed. Does that answer your question? It really does depend on the scope of the complaint, who is involved, and if there would be any adverse outcomes for our legal obligations in providing that information.
Yeah, I was just curious is all. Thanks.
Councillor Corlett.
Thank you, Chair. A little further to Councillor Allison's comment. I was looking at the complaints process, and the only piece that I sort of saw and didn't know if it existed at all, is there a complaints register that is there and updated, and is it something that, you know, maybe part information could be used to build out a framework for issues to be shared with staff to look at and to develop further?
Yes, there is a register, so that is managed by myself, and it's reported to ELT on a monthly basis, so that they can review the topic of a complaint and the outcomes of where the current status is as well.
I would like to point out, though, that this is a reasonably new process that Dana has implemented alongside the implementation of this new policy, the review, of this new policy.
Just on that, if it's part of the process, I didn't see it in the process on the policy. So about updating a register or anything?
The process relates to the process for customers. The internal process is separate from this policy. So the only process information that we've provided is that which would relate to a customer. We have a separate process that looks at the internal process.
Thank you, Councillor Collette. Your Worship.
Thanks very much, Chair Erina. I just want to jump into this part of the complaints register again, and absolutely understand the constraints, and I don't think that we need to see specific detailed information. However, I'm very encouraged to see that there's a complaints register in place and there's a process for monthly reporting to ELT. What might be of value for this committee is that we get a high-level summary of the number of complaints received, the general categories that they fall into, which will allow us to be having a bit of a look at trends as to what might be happening. That could be incredibly powerful as we move into the LTP process as well, to see what might be upsetting or annoying people the most, and where maybe can we target things. So I'd be grateful if that could be considered as part of standard reporting.
Thank you, Worship. That's a great idea. Do we have any other questions for Dana and Sandy? No? So we'll go to the recommendation that the report from the Customer Engagement Manager dated the 27th of January 26 concerning the complaints policy review be received. We have a mover for that. Councillor Kennedy, and seconded by Councillor Amboy. All those in favour, please say aye. 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 Thank you, ladies. Okay, we're going to head into the management report. And I just want to thank staff for putting all this information together. It's really valuable to have these figures in front of us. So we're going to start with Kate from Facilities. If you'd like to come forward, Kate.
Morning, councillors. How are we doing? Me, Scott. I haven't met some of you yet, so I'm Kate Payne. I'm the Facilities Property Officer, just standing in for Fontaine today. So just taking the report as read and fire away with any questions.
We'll start with Councillor Corlett.
Thank you. Good report, heaps of detail in there. It was good to see. A couple of items on there. On page 46, the Ikitahuna Library wall repair. It's down as completed, I believe. It's still only covered with plywood, and I think it's a project in one of the PMO short tasks. So I think they've got a project on there just to keep the two together. So until it's completed, it's still sort of standing there. And then on page 47, the grounds and a general update around the grass situation, the lawns and the mowing and gardens. If there's a little bit more than what's in here to be shared.
So unfortunately, sorry, I can't share much on the Ikitahuna situation for the war memorial. As far as the grounds maintenance is concerned, I believe there have been some comms go out to the elected members recently about it. It's been a bit of a storm for them. The contractors have split their teams up into per town areas, so they've got dedicated boots on the ground for each area, and we've seen improvements from this straight off the bat, and this will just bring a bit more consistency and working away from, they've been in full reactive mode over the Christmas period, and then working into getting to a more scheduled basis for the management of all of the grounds maintenance.
Your Worship.
Thanks, Chair Erina. I have a few questions with your discretion. Thanks, Kate, for the report and pass on our thanks to Fontaine as well. I might just start with the grounds maintenance side, and thank you for providing some narrative around that. One thing I think, because this has high levels of public interest that we look at for at least for the next few reports, is some consideration on providing reporting on the audit outcomes that can be at a relatively high level, but I know that the team are very focused on going out and doing that auditing. It may give some reassurance to this committee to see the results of that. Of course, we don't expect every audit to be perfect, but it will allow us to carry on having some conversations at this committee. So that would be really helpful, if that's okay. My next question is on pensioner housing, and I'm looking at page 48 of our agenda at the waiting lists. This is something that's always jumped out at me. We see the number, and then there will be a certain separate number of people that are under 65, so therefore ineligible. Why do we allow people that are under 65 to join a waiting list for our pensioner housing?
This is my take on it. I don't work in the pensioner housing space, but most people that join the waiting list are nearing to that age. I think you might get one or two who are not, and obviously they're going to be on that list for a long time. I think going back historically, when there has been very low interest from pensioners in that housing, then we would look at those people to make sure that there's maximum occupancy. I think that has been done in the past, but it seems to be that there's more interest in the housing at the moment, so they would remain on that list, is my take on it.
No, thanks very much, Kate. That's my understanding as well, and historically that did happen. I think there's probably quite a difference between someone being 64 and a half wanting to position themselves on a waiting list and someone being in their early 50s as an example. I just wonder if the team could consider whether that's appropriate at all, whether people that are ineligible and won't be eligible for a time measured in years rather than months should go on. I think maybe it gives it's about managing their expectations as well, but I think some in our community would take a dim view to pensioner housing being utilised by people under 65, and I think that would trigger some wider conversations with us on our portfolio if we had a whole lot of empty units. So something to think about, if that's okay. Just my next question, Kate. There is, and I'm just looking at page 50, there's just a line under community facilities about digitisation of bookable spaces. Would you be able to just give us a little bit more information on what that project is or what the plan is? It sounds quite exciting.
Absolutely. So from a bit of a removed view on it as well, sorry, I'm not part of that project, but it is looking at the program that is called Bookable Spaces to introduce that to our facilities booking systems. I think it could draw through to potentially some of our other spaces such as cemeteries, and looking to, I think it will make the booking easier, capture data a lot better, and those sort of functions, and just unload the system. I think especially you'll find that customer services or customer engagement team are fairly burdened with bookings of our of our community spaces. So that's looking to streamline that entire process.
Thanks, Kate. And Chair Aaron, I still have more, but I'm happy to pass back to the table and jump back in afterwards.
Thank you, Your Worship. Councillor Corlett.
Thank you, Chair. And yeah, like you, Mayor Scott, I had a few questions that you're touching on. Around that tool that was just mentioned to for bookings, is that also going to be looked at being used for things like camping grounds and stuff like that, as if you know that that's the intention?
Yes. Oh, we'll bring Dana in. She might be able to answer a bit better.
Thanks. I'm part of the project group, and prior to my role here, I was the events and facilities manager at a previous council as well. So I looked at this program, and yes, it does have functionality, and we are looking at using it for campgrounds. We're just trying to roll it out to community facilities at this point so that we can make sure it's all set up properly before we do anything else.
Okay, thank you. And just supplementary to that, around the comments on page 57, in regards to the, I'll use the Ikaruna camping grounds, for the agreement to be put in place, and just the way it was worded sounded like there were some challenges with what was there and what information was coming in.
Sorry, yes, so that's going through to the 17A questions. I understand that there have been challenges across the board with that, but it is the entire 17A with campgrounds is progressing really well, and there has been a lot of tick-offs in that space. I can't provide further info on that, but if you have any specific questions, I can take it back.
Councillor Amboy.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for this report. I'm just curious to understand how the reserves get assessed or measured to be maintained. What criteria determine whether which reserves receive priority maintenance or upgrades? It's kind of broad, so I understand if you don't have the information with you at this time.
What page were you on there? Sorry, Alison.
I'm just going back to the Parks and Reserve, so page 46. It's just got a list of all the different reserves that we're looking at.
So relating to tree maintenance?
Just in general.
Okay. I'll start with tree maintenance because it's been an absolute beast for us. So a wide assessment was done on all of our trees in our main public areas, cemeteries, parks, main streets and that sort of thing. And from that assessment, we've pulled out the highest priority trees to be worked on, and we're working through it. We've had 3 storms since this assessment was done, and it's interesting how many of the trees are damaged in the storms that are not the ones that are the high priority to work on. So that chops and changes, but that's basically weather events, and that tree assessment that we've had done determines where we're focusing on that work there. In the broader sense of things with our reserves, all of our high use public reserves become the priority naturally. They're the ones that we receive the most CRMs around if the public think they're not up to spec, or the highest booked areas like the upper domain for cricket through the summer. It's seriously high use, and we've got a lot of people using it for those bookings, so they naturally become priorities. But with our reserve management plan, we will be able to take the broad look at all of our reserves and prioritise from there. We have got really good community groups in a lot of our spaces that help to feed in what's required in those spaces as well, which is extremely valuable. Yeah.
Councillor Kennedy.
Sorry, just going back to the trees, and you admitted that some trees fell during the recent storm, especially in Carnival Park. Not Carnival Park, Harbour Park. How do you determine what trees are high priority? Because, just...
Yep, so that's just going back to that assessment that we've had done. So it was a level 5 arborist that did a full sweep of the district looking at all of our trees. And that's how we've had that assessment done, and that's how we prioritise what work we do going forward. But as I said to Alison, that changes when we have a storm because other trees will make themselves the priority.
So it's a bit of a moving beast, really, isn't it, Kate? Yeah. Your worship.
Thanks very much, Chair Erin. I promise I only have another couple. I just wanted to jump to page 51, please, and it's looking at some of the trends for community building utilisation. Super encouraged to see the increase or the likely increase in utilisation. Some of it actually looks quite striking. Do we have any insights as to what might be driving the higher level of utilisation?
I'm sorry, I don't have that information. Potentially Fontaine has an overview of that. I wonder also whether our changing weather has something to do with that. You know, outside events aren't really in our district scope at the moment, so that could be a factor.
No, thanks, Kate. It might be as a request, if there is any insights around that, if that gets emailed out to the committee. And the reason for that is, again, our minds are really starting to turn towards the long-term plan, and that is an important consideration for investment and for other pieces. My last question, with your permission, Chair Erin, I'm looking at page 54, so jumping into the section 17A part. It's stage 2, and it was talking about the Wimbledon Memorial Baths, with a note there saying that the outcome is that it's been confirmed it's a TDC asset. What are the impacts to us on us acquiring another swimming pool effectively?
Great question. I'll have to take that one away, sorry. I don't, from what I know of it, I don't think there's many further impacts than what we already had. I don't think that's much of a change there, but yeah.
Your worship, Carter would like to add to that.
Thank you, Chair Irina. My understanding is that the Wimbledon swimming pool is very well maintained by the community, and it has been for a very long time. So there is no urgency for us to take over, and I don't think we should take over. I think we should just support the community to keep maintaining it. There is regular checks on the swimming pool now that we're aware of the situation, but it is very well maintained, and they are operating within the standards and the safety regulations. So at the moment it's not considered as an urgent matter. Thank you.
Councillor Amboy.
So just with the trends, you've got the trend subsection on page 42 and 51 of the reports, which I think is a great idea. But I'm just wondering if there's a framework or report in place that outlines internal and external feedback trends that emerge from community interactions. I just think this way we can know what to look out for, but also create feedback loops or close any feedback loops. Thanks.
Thank you. There will be. I'll just have to take that one back and come back to you with that, if that's okay. Cool.
Councillor Corlett.
Thank you, Chair. I have a couple here just to finish mine off. One that might be a bit hard to answer, but around since we're talking about pools, the Ikerauna pool and the upgrade for the heater, I understand that there is an upgrade that is required for the cable that comes into the building, and just wondering if there's an update towards that, if you know at all. For number one.
Apologies, no, I don't have an update for you on that, but we can get back to you.
Okay, and then just secondly, on the tree register that exists for our larger trees and items that we need to take care of, it was noted that there was a number of trees behind the health centre in Ikirahuna that fell on the boundary between the health centre and the fire brigade. We did work to felling those trees because they were becoming a risk, and fire brigade took that on, and not an issue. But it was just noted that even though they were on council land, council didn't have them on their register. So there is possibly a little bit of work to look at where the boundary lines are and where the trees actually are if we're going around and auditing again in the future.
It's a really big piece of work that's been done, and it's an excellent starting point. And when we start working through the entire district, we'll find more of that. It was the focus on the high traffic public access areas. So as a leased space, potentially that was left out, but we can absolutely look at all of those things, and the aim will be to look at all of those spaces in future.
Councillor thank you, Councillor Corlett. Are there any more questions for Kate? Carter.
Thank you, Chair Arana. I just wanted to go back very quickly to the pensioner housing questions that you had. And if I can just comment on the reason why there are some under 65 on the waiting list. So the priority goes to 65 and over. Now, in some instances, we may have vacant units. So we look at the under 65. If somebody's 60 and applies, they stay on the waiting list until they are 65 to be looked at. But when we have vacancy, then we start looking at them. What we also have is some under 65 with special needs, so they take priority over, So 65 is the priority, under 65 with special needs, and then if we have vacant units, then we look at, the under 65 and whether they meet the criteria. Thank you.
Thanks for that clarification, Carter. No more questions for Kate. Thank you, Kate. We're going to move on to communications management report from Carsten.
Kia ora, everyone. Very excited to be at this first meeting of the Connected Communities Committee. Before we delve into things, I'd just like to jump ahead to the dashboard that you have in your reader. You will see that we have not reported on trends, and that the reason for that being is that this reporting period covered 6 months. And the next reporting period will cover 3 months only. So it would have skewed the data a lot. So that will come next time round. For this time, we have kept it short without trends. Other than that, I take this as read, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Councillor Amboy.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks for this report, Carsten. It's really very thorough. I've just got a question regarding the campaigns. So on page 39, you've got the Touring Tararoa campaign going. Is this an ongoing project? And just supplementary after as well.
Yes, it is an ongoing project, and this is something that we do usually before there are bank holidays or school holidays. We put these into the mix.
And just my second question, I've seen some posts on social media regarding this. I think it's really cool. But is there a way that elected members can get behind this in terms of, can we include more community-based content as well that involves real storytelling from business owners or council-controlled facilities? I just feel like that would increase engagement more and be more authentic to people. Thanks.
Yes, 100%. We're open for that, and I think a good avenue with that would be the focus group that we have.
Thanks. Watch this space.
On page 43, the dashboard is quite interesting. The lectures were very popular, looked at on our website. But it's also interesting that other followers, LinkedIn is quite popular, and then you get to Instagram with only 40 people following us on Instagram. So do you think that's to do with the age demographic, or?
That definitely plays a role. I think it also has to do that this fell into the reporting period, but really late into the reporting period. So we've actually just started this up. And what we've noticed with our Facebook and LinkedIn, which have been going for quite some time, it really takes time to build up a following. So we're really in those initial stages, and that's why the numbers are still quite low. Saying that, the comms team, and you might have noticed that, we're really focusing on a lot more shorter, snappy reels at the moment. And this is also in mind with the fact that we're starting our Instagram, and this is the sort of thing that people want to see on Instagram. So we do expect this to go up. It's just really early days.
Thanks for that. That's quite understandable, yeah. Your Worship.
Thanks very much, Chair Erina. Carsten, thank you to you and your team for all the work that you're doing in this space. Although it's not an incredibly long report, that shouldn't be an indication on the amount of work that you and your team are doing. I just want to commend the team for the communications, and this is over a 6-month period, the communications that have been going out. They absolutely feel accessible and relatable, and I'm continually hearing positive feedback from members of the community. I encourage the team to continue with that slightly lighter tone that's come through, because I think that people are engaging with our content a whole lot more. The other bit, and I suppose this is topical to what we've just had recently of having weather events come through, very, very grateful for the timeliness and clear and concise information that gets out to our community. So no question per se, but I just wanted to publicly thank you and your team for the work that you're doing.
I really appreciate that, Scott, and I'll definitely pass that on to the team. Well, actually, I don't think I need to, because they'll be watching.
Councillor Corlett.
Thank you, Chair. Carsten, thank you again. Much like what Scott's saying, it's been very good to see the massive amount of communication that's been going out that's really engaged the community. They've seen a lot more going on, and that's been a very, very good, touch. And I don't really have a specific question. It's more of a comment around if there is a community-specific issue or an event going on, if it can be shared on the community pages rather than just pointed to them, because there is no direction to the community pages if you link them to it to say this is something that you need to read. The admins don't see that, and no one sees that. So if it can be posted directly on the community pages, would get out to the communities a bit faster. Just as a comment, but other than that, very good. So thank you, and thank you to the team.
Carter.
Thank you, Chair Erina. I just need to clarify this, please, Councillor Collett, because we don't manage community pages. So I just really wanted to make sure that what you are asking is something we can deliver on. We only manage the TDC Facebook page and the other channels, but we don't really have any interaction with the community pages other than monitor what's going on in the community pages. Thank you.
Your Worship.
Thanks very much, Chair Erina. Thanks for that clarification, Carter. And I just want to support Councillor Corlett's suggestion, and I think it's worth some consideration. And correct me if I'm wrong, Councillor Corlett, but it isn't about managing those community pages. I think it's about council proactively sharing the content directly to those pages so they appear on those walls rather than relying on community members to share them. Usually they do get shared, but I think the team will tag in those community pages, but the admins don't necessarily see those tags. There may be benefits and risks in doing so. It's just looking to see whether that can be considered.
It's a really interesting discussion. It's something that we've had within the team recently, actually. And yes, if you start going onto all the community pages, it becomes, a beast. Where does it stop? However, I do think if it's a matter of public health and safety, for example, then we can be proactive in this respect.
Thank you for that, Carsten. Councillor Amboy.
Thanks, Chair. Just a real quick question, and it kind of relates to what Councillor Chris was going on about. Just in terms of engagement and to boost that, does Council use paid sponsored ads and through the outlets?
We have used them. We don't use them a lot.
Thank you for that. Sorry.
Sorry, I feel I need to be a bit more complete with my answer. Sorry for that, Councillor Amboy. So do you mean Facebook ads, whether we put a push behind it? Or do you mean other things? Because we have used other avenues of advertising. For example, we've used TVNZ ads on Click. So when people pause on TVNZ, they'll see a council notification coming up, and that's something that's geo-targeted to our area. We've also used MREC adverts. These are the adverts that when you're scrolling through the New Zealand Herald or Stuff sometimes, that you see the little square there, the advertisement. So we've used those as well.
Just social media ads. For example, with Instagram, we've got a really low following count. Is there a way to create targeted ads to increase followers or engagement? Do you see a potential in that, or is there an investment opportunity within that? I don't know. What do you think?
The cost associated with this is really quite low, so that's definitely something that we can look into. Saying that, Facebook following is 7,600 at the moment, which is quite high, and we have almost never used targeted and paid ads for that. Yes, we can definitely look into it, and maybe we should, for example, for things that come up like the LTP. But yeah, let's see how we get on. I'm not a big fan of it, to be honest. I don't know. Always conscious of money and spending. So I think the beauty of social media is that it's a free resource, and if you do it well, you will get a following.
Thank you, Carsten. Do we have any more questions for Carsten? Thank you, Carsten, for your report. Can we have Dana to the table for Customer Engagement Management Report? Kia ora. So this is my first report. There are some components of it that I would really love some feedback from you on, including any data or information that you would like to be included in future reporting. So really keen to get your feedback from that perspective. But also just want to acknowledge that I understand
that you are all very keen on updates regarding the Woodville integration, and that budget has now been allocated to start commencement on that first phase of that project, which is great. Is that right? Yes. So just happy to answer any questions that you have regarding that as well. I will try my best to answer. So through the chair, happy to answer any questions or take feedback.
Do we have any questions for Dana? Your Worship?
Thanks very much, Chair Irina. Yeah, have a couple if that's okay. Just my first one on page 60, which is the bullet point about the average wait time. Could I also request, I'm not expecting the information here now, but in future reports that we also have the metric of the longest wait time. I think average is really helpful to see, but the system should easily be able to report over that period what the longest is. There are often ways to remove. You might have one outlier in there, totally fine if that one outlier is removed, but that can give us a bit of an indication. The other question I wanted to ask is it was around the integration of services. Pleased to see in Woodville that that's progressing. As a request, I think for this committee, but actually for all councillors, if something is sent out to councillors on what has been decided, so we have a bit of a heads up on that, it can be quite helpful. So when that messaging comes out, we can help explain to people what's happening. And then on page 61, was looking at the active library users chart. Just wondering if perhaps you might have some further insights into that chart. It does look like the numbers of active users are trending slightly downwards, and wondering if there are, any other considerations, particularly if you look at the district column. That's quite a stark drop of what else we might be able to do to promote library usage.
I'm happy to investigate that a little bit further and come back to you. It could be the timeframes, but I just want to, rather than assume something, I just want to double check and come back.
Yes, I thought that was quite an interesting one, Your Worship, because the online one has gone up quite a bit, and it just goes to show that more people are heading online instead of going physically into our libraries.
That's not just about being online, but that's actually like using e-books and things like that. So they still have to go into the library. It's just that they're actually using online services within the library rather than physical material.
Oh, okay. I thought that was that they were accessing it outside. You know how they have the books online, e-books that they could. Yeah. So it's actually in the library.
That can be both. It includes both.
Oh,
so
it includes
yeah.
both. Okay. Just. Any more questions for Dana and Sandy? No. Thank you, ladies. Great report. Welcome, Sarah, for our Community Engagement Management Report.
Thank you. I just want to welcome myself. I haven't met some of you before. I'm Sarah Fountain. I'm the Community Engagement Officer for Tauranga District Council. And I will take my report as read and happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Just to start it off, before Mayor Scott gets into it, only one comment. It's a really good report, so I didn't have anything big. It was just that the Ikitahuna Community Plan being brought up with them, just the date mentioned was 28th of Feb. I think it's the 23rd at the meeting. Just in case you don't want to miss that date. Thank you, but other than that, it's very good. So,
Thank you. I will amend that.
Councillor Woods.
Thank you, Chair Irina. A question on page 66, Sarah, regarding the contestable, district-wide contestable funds. Slightly concerned with the last column in terms of, I mean, we put a lot of thought into the process that was required when we introduced this new way of, our community accessing grants from council. And there was a lot of thought, and what we wanted to demonstrate was accountability for this expenditure of that money. So the way to demonstrate that accountability was having a report. So what actions are being taken to address the huge number of not yet received from quite a period of time ago? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. So throughout the year, they've got a year to complete the accountability report. So the first one in February 25, that round. So the report is due on the 27th of this month. So I send out emails at 6 months post getting that fund, 3 months until the report is due, 6 weeks, and then 1 week. So they've got their final kind of warning, I suppose you could say, about their accountability report. There has been a few that have emailed to say, hey, we've got this, and we know it's due, we'll get it to you. So that number for the 5 not yet received for the February one is, I think we'll get it. I think everybody's just a little bit lapse on that side and leave it to the last minute. And we see that in our applications. The first couple of weeks are really slow, and then the last week everybody gets it in. So, hope that helps. Hope that answers.
So I guess if they don't submit it, that's just like if they want to apply again, it's a bit of a black mark against their name, isn't it? So it's to their advantage to submit. And so we know how the money was spent and, properly.
Yes, definitely. And there has been a few people that have asked, I want to get one into this round, can I apply? And I say, you've got to get that accountability report complete before any extra funding will be allocated. I hope that's okay on behalf of the panel.
No, that's great. Thanks, Sarah. Any other questions? I just have one about the creative communities. Just a suggestion, would we be able to have like a list of who receives the funding in our area? It would just be quite good for anyone who's reading the report to see who's getting the funding.
Definitely. I can update that for the next reporting round because we would have had another fund which it opens on it's in there, I think it's the 2nd, 3rd of March, so that'll definitely be in your next report.
That's great, thanks Sarah. Okay, is that all the questions for Sarah? Happy? Yep. So the recommendation is that the report from the Group Manager, Strategy and Community Wellbeing dated the 10th of February 2026 concerning the management report be received. Can I have a mover and a seconder for that report? Councillor Corlett, seconded by Councillor Amboy. All those in favour, please say aye. 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 Thank you for everyone's attendance at the Community Connections Committee, and we'll close our meeting from there. Thank you.